Lucy joined Twitter in 1988 to teach people about her experiences as a Holocaust survivor. She says she will spend the rest of her life standing up for Jews and making sure that we never forget. Lucy's parents, her sister, friends, and neighbors were discriminated against, persecuted, and killed because of who they were. It was about race, and it is still about race, and it's about a lot more as well. And in a moment, this is a moment, excuse me, for us to listen. It is a moment for us to learn. I ran out of time with Lucy last night, so I have asked her to come back on tonight to hear her story and also her pain. Lucy, it is great to see you again. Thank you for being our guest.
Good evening, Marnie. Thank you for inviting.
There's never going to be enough time to really dive into your journey on a news program, but I want you to be able to share as much as you can tonight, starting with you as a little girl, 6 years old. You outran the Nazis. It's been a long time. What do you remember from what you saw?
I remember when the war broke out. I was 6 years old. I was about to start school, public school, for the first time. And it was September 1st, 1939. I also remember that it was Friday. I always knew it was Friday. Why? Because we were still our observant Jewish family, and my mom lit the Sabbath candles. My sister and I, my sister Frigya, unfortunately, she passed away. She was 2.5 years older than me. She was 8 years old, 8.5, and I was 6. We were sent off to bed shortly after our modest little dinner that evening, and we were waken up in the middle of the night. Mom came into our room and she told us that we were going on a little vacation. And she said, all your clothes is laid out here and you must wear layers. It was still summer, September 1st. And she told us we have to wear 2 dresses, a pair of slacks, a sweater, a scarf, and a coat. I couldn't understand why we needed to wear so much clothes. And of course we did as we were told. And then I saw my mom standing by the table and just watching her candlestick. And she looked so sad, as if she was abandoning something very dear to her heart. Eventually, both my parents put on wore coats, and my mom wore a very elegant hat. In those days, women wore hats. And we all kissed the mezuzah on the doorpost, not knowing that this was the last day that we would see our home again. That day actually upended all our lives. And again, we didn't know it. When we descended to the street, I watched my dad lock up the warehouse and the store. And Mom said something very funny that my dad thought it was funny. She said, are you sure you have the keys? And Daddy said to my mom, and you think that the Nazis could not get into our home without the keys? And I remember that evening very vividly. When we descended to the street, I was amazed. I thought we were going on a little vacation. Instead, what I saw was a horse-drawn wagon, open wagon, with many of my extended family, my uncles, my aunts, cousins. There were at least 12 of them, or 11 of them. And with my family, my mom, my dad, my sister Frigga and myself, we were told, I was very surprised. I said, Mom, aren't we going on a vacation? And she didn't quite know how to answer my question. And she said, yes, it'll be okay. Yes. And this was still middle of the night, Saturday morning, and we all escaped from the town, hoping that no one saw us escaping. And that's how our journey began.
Lucy, what happened to your parents and your sister?
We were, my parents and my sister and myself survived. It was a very difficult 10-year journey.
How did you escape?
My dad was a person who believed that if someone threatens your life, you must believe them. You must take it seriously. So he was planning our escape even before the war broke out. I do remember as a young child, I was a very inquisitive child, so I tried to eavesdrop on adult conversation. And I remember my dad speaking to his sisters and other relatives, trying to convince them that we need to escape, we need to run away. They argued with my dad. They said, why do we have to run? German nation is a civilized people. They're not going to hurt men and women and children. And Dad said, no, you cannot fight Hitler. You have to run. As a young child, I didn't know what was Hitler. Was it a thing? Was it a person? And finally, he convinced them. And he believed. You see, at that time, Poland was divided into two huge areas. The western part of Poland became Germany, and the eastern part of Poland became Soviet Union. And Daddy believed that Soviets may not have done all good things, and things happened in Soviet Union that were not very good, but they were not intent on killing and hurting and persecuting Jewish people in particular. So he felt if somehow we could reach Soviet Union, we would probably be safe. And so our journey, with the riding in the wagon, only room for the children. We were 4 children, and one cousin who was pregnant, and the rest of the adults were walking beside the wagon. And that took at least 2 months, 2.5 months, before we reached the Soviets on the eastern part of Poland. It was very difficult. Wow. Because we were always on the dirt roads, tiny dirt roads, because the Nazis were on major roads.
Lucy, you have written a book, The Long Journey Home, a young girl's memoir of surviving the Holocaust. I'm ordering it tonight because I want to hear more of your story, and I hope others do as well. It was important for us to give you more time to talk tonight and share your journey, and clearly, we need more once again. Lucy Lipiner, thank you for sharing your story with us. I am sorry for the atrocities committed against your family, but you are alive today because so many sacrificed. Thank you for being on Prime. Thanks for watching. Click the red subscribe button below so you can get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.